I'm Bailey Plachek, CSM's Associate Curator and Facilitator of You Select, a Community-Curated Exhibition. This video explores the third gallery in You Select, which features objects selected by members of the public. In this series of 5 short videos, we look at each of the exhibition's galleries and talk with community members to highlight the ways Clyfford Still's various relationships over the course of his life impact ours here at the museum. You Select's third gallery is dedicated to Still's works on paper. These oils on paper represent a pivotal moment in Still's transition from representational art to abstraction, and also signify a time in Still's life when he had expanded his family. We spoke with Clyfford Still Museum members and You Select community curators Kathy Jones and Ryan Trauman about their connections to Still's work, the museum, and what it means to be part of a supportive network.
I always like coming to the museum, but if you take away that idea that it's a special occasion and that it's just a thing that you do regularly, for me, it allows me to relax. It allows me to dwell longer on a painting that seems to interest me. I don't feel any pressure to need to get to the end of the exhibit. I can skip things knowing I can come back. And it just builds that familiarity over time. Being a member allows me to come back as often as I want.
I think that the more you learn, the more you can appreciate, and then you can come more often to see the changes and how you interact with the art.
It's like I'm walking around inside Clyfford Still's head, right? And I get to see where he started, I get to see where he ended up, I get to see the way things morphed, and I sort of get to make sense of all of this stuff. I get to tell my own story of Clyfford Still in a way that really resonates with me. And I don't think I would do that unless I were a member.
I like the smaller works on paper because it just feels more intimate. And that's what Stills wanted us to feel, because that was very private to him.
They're maybe my favorite part of the museum. Not because they're the most engaging or the most dynamic. I think of them as something between an artist's sketchbook and a fully realized painting.
And I also thought that it was interesting that some of them were works that he did initially and then expanded them into a larger format, maybe on a different medium. We have collected art over the time that we've been married, over 55 years. And both my children were exposed to art when they were very young. And some of the artwork that Still does in works on paper remind me of some of the things that are in the workroom here behind me of children's drawings. It reminds me of things that people would put up on a bulletin board at home or a refrigerator, and they would encourage their children to continue to be involved in art.
I think the communities that are most critical to the museum's success are, the first ones you'd think of: local artists, art critics that are going to talk about and champion Still's work. But for me, the most important community is the kids who visit the museum.
His daughters have been instrumental afterwards to take care of his art and make sure that it was given to the museum and cared for by Denver exactly the way he intended it to be in his will.
When I think of the Clyfford Still Museum, the first thing that comes to mind from me is the commitment that Denver made to meet all of the demands that Clyfford Still put on his work. The way it could be shared, the way it had to be housed. And that sort of commitment is really indicative of the health and the quality of the creative community here in Denver. And I want to participate in that community. I want to contribute to it. I want to consume it. And becoming a member of the museum allows me to financially contribute in some way. And it helps me take pride in that community.